Yes, people, what's going on? Man knows football. You are here with myself and Matisse. And obviously, if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button as you come in. But today is a very, very serious conversation regarding the future of our club. An article that has come out today, and I have provided a reference down there in the description for you to go and see. But it is behind the paywall. I will give you that disclaimer. It's behind the paywall. You have to pay. I paid like £1 for like the month or something to get it all. But I've taken a couple of paragraphs from it here and there so I can share with the people so you have a rough idea on what was said. And what it is about, it's about quote unquote rivals angry at the preferential treatment for the Ricketts family bid. So the rivals they're referring to is the other consortiums who are hopefully trying to buy Chelsea Football Club. They're not happy at the situation on how things have been treated, and we're talking about the case specific is the meeting that was called and facilitated by Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman, and he facilitated a meeting between Tom Ricketts and Paul Canoville. And the other consortiums feel that that's an unfair bias. I can see why it is. But this is what me and Matisse are here to talk about, and other things that are going to stem from there, the fans' reaction and what we might be doing going, well, what we're planning to be doing going forward if the fans' voices are not heard. But Matisse, first and foremost, I gotta ask how you're doing. I know you ain't been too well for the past few days.
Yeah, it's been mad, man. Obviously, I was away at the weekend, had a great time. I usually do this for international break anyway, putting the break in international break because it's just good to recharge and reset. But I wasn't well on the Sunday after my watch along for the race, and I was meant to do a review and start the content on YouTube again, cracking along, but just couldn't get it done. But I'm feeling all right. I'm on painkillers because for some reason I've got a pain in my gum, and at the same time of having COVID. So yeah, we're just plowing along. But listen, the people are the people, man. You gotta come out for the people. So I'm blessed to be coming back on the spaces with the YouTube and Twitch and speaking to the people again. And yeah, man, I just took it upon myself. You know, I was waiting the last couple of days to see what was going to be done, because when I went away, I said to Eunice, I expect a protest to be organized during that time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me just sit and wait. You know, I don't want to come out and organize something half-assed. I don't want to come out and just say something for the sake of it. It's a big deal to try and sort and organize this. But nothing's happened so far. It's Wednesday now, Wednesday, the 30th of March. The game is on Saturday. So, and every day that goes past, these people seem to be getting stronger and stronger in their bid to take over the club. So if we don't do something, we're potentially going to allow a few days or a few weeks of time to pass where we didn't do anything. And that will control the future of our club for 20 plus 30, 45, 50 years.
Absolutely. And let's have it right as well, Matisse. We can't run from history and run from reality. That, you know, we've had our controversial moments in regards to, you know, racial controversies and things of that sort amongst Chelsea Football Club, and this is our chance to really distance ourselves away from all of that stigma. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Although, like it already is, the majority of the fan base, you get me, it's normal people. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's really against each other like that. Back in the day, it was a bit mad. Now it's better, but this is an opportunity to really show the people that we're against this kind of consortium taking over Chelsea Football Club. But the article today, quite revealing stuff. The thing is that the way this article was written, I want to say this first and foremost, it sort of paints Paul Canoville, the ex-Chelsea legend, in a bit, I wouldn't say negative, but for me in a bit of a questionable fashion. So I want to just kind of put it out there because because I want to be fair to the man. You get me? So I'm just going to go through some of it. So it says here, one of the shortlisted consortiums fear that the rules of the process have been breached after it emerged that Raine Group, the US bank leading the sale process, and Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman, had facilitated a meeting between Tom Ricketts and Paul Canoville. Canoville, the former Chelsea player, had previously called for the Ricketts bid to be rejected because of racist comments made by the head of the family, Joe. and this has been quoted, if they want the Ricketts family to buy the club from Roman Abramovich, just tell the rest of us now and spare us what is an awful lot of hard work. The bid advisor told the Times. So that is from apparently one of the people from one of the consortiums outside of the Ricketts family. And if that's true, Matisse, let's start with that. That is concerning on the face of things, that's been allowed to happen.
Yeah, when it comes to this situation as well, we saw the abuse that he got after people kind of found out when the report dropped that he'd maybe had a meeting or some sort of contact with the group, and again, that is so ironic, right? People fighting racism with racism, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a very respected, member of the groups, the supporters groups, the boards. There's obviously the Chelsea supporters group. There's the pitch owners. There's the shed end that help with a lot of the banners and the support that goes on in that group. And I'm sure there's a couple of groups that I'm missing out. Apologies to them. And he's a very valued member and a very valued opinion in all those groups. So he's I've spoken to him. I've done an article with him when I was managing the publication of All You Can Eat Chelsea way back when, years ago.
Yeah.
He's a very intelligent man, and I think it's very important that people don't just assume because you're having a meeting with someone. You can have a conversation with anyone out there in the world, and doesn't mean you agree with what they're doing. Doesn't mean that
that's why I said what I said. Yeah, absolutely. Because I wanted to just let the people know, really be careful how you perceive people through a news article. You got to be careful. But yeah, Matisse, I completely agree with what you're saying, but go on, continue.
Yeah, it's just really just to say that people shouldn't make assumptions. We all know that articles are misleading at times and they're not worded correctly. I personally was always like, because people were already in my mention saying, oh, he's endorsing them or backing them, and I was like, that wouldn't make much sense considering all of the groups and all of the different, I can't think of the word, sorry, but all of the different groups that he's involved in. It would be it would be a massive contradiction for him to now be involved with such a group, especially when there's other options on the table. It's not like as if this is the only ownership group that we can go with. So it's just better sometimes to wait for a statement from the actual individual than to just start going absolutely nuts on their account and whatnot. So yeah.
Another thing as well that's been stated in this article, and I quote, in a letter sent to the bidding groups on March the 1st, it was stressed that no contact should be made with the Chelsea executive during the sale process. That quite clearly has been breached. There's no really sugarcoating, nothing or looking two ways about it. Contact has been made, therefore that has been breached. So what now must be done going forward? Because listen, for the information that I know of the Ricketts family, there might be a whole lot more controversy around them. But obviously, because we're speaking on a public space, we have to be careful of the accusations that we make. But this is why I'm sticking strictly to what I'm reading here on this article. So, however, when the Ricketts family realized there was opposition to their bid among Chelsea fans because of the Islamophobic remarks made by Joe Ricketts in emails that were leaked to the US media in 2019, Tom Ricketts, Joe's son, contacted Raine, when in turn spoke to Buck to broker a meeting with Canoville, the club's first black player. Why they reference that, I don't really see the need to do that. He's a player, you get me? He's a football player, ex-Chelsea player. But if you want to put it in that context, whatever floats their boat in it. But there's the evidence there, if that's to be believed.
Bro,
I think it's come to a point, Matisse. I think we got to circle back to what you were saying at the beginning. And we've got to talk about this situation with the protests. Now, listen, I don't know how far along you are with the plan. I don't really like to talk about things prematurely myself. So I'll allow you to speak on your thoughts so I don't really overstep. See what I mean? But to just understand that even on our side, I mean, I'm here in New York City, and I know some of you must be thinking, what can you do from there? There are fan bases here, trust me. Like the New York City Chelsea fan base is strong. It is strong, and they will stand and be heard. Yeah, and that's not just the New York one. We've got LA as well. We've got Miami as well. We've got quite a few of them. So we can make our voices heard from over here. And I think the more voices that can be heard, the better. But Matisse, talk to the people, man.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're just in the initial stages, and you know, tomorrow morning is when I expect to come out with a proper announcement in terms of the poster, and that will be shared across social media, and hopefully within, you know, forums as well, because I'm very aware of the fact that, and this is why I've been hesitant to want to actually lead it myself, because I'm aware, and I see people say, oh, you've got a big following on Twitter, and look, all of you big Twitter accounts, come on, get together. But you have to understand, Twitter is a very small percentage of the Chelsea fan base. There is YouTube, there is Instagram, but more importantly as well, there are also those forums which supporter groups will have access to, with hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. And especially when you're looking for UK related in this regard, because we're not expecting anybody to fly over for this. This is literally strictly UK related, and London based Chelsea fans that are going to be attending this. And a lot of the time on social media, people see numbers and they expect it to be all UK. That's simply not true. It's mostly international. So that's why I'm aware of like the size of the task that I'm really trying to take on. But at the end of the day, like I said, I waited around long enough. I contacted the necessary groups and channels that I needed to contact to get answers, to get, you know, some sort of confirmation of what they're trying to do. They didn't get back to me. And I've spoken to them before, so it's not like as if they don't know of me. And so for that reason, that's why I said I'm just gonna put it together. And right now we're in the initial stages. I'm literally just going back and forth with the designer, and getting the posters ready with the time, with the date. It will be before the Brentford game. We discussed why, as well, and just give you a brief like outlook on that. You know, we looked at Sunday because obviously not disturbing the team as well before the match, but at the end of the day, this is more important than the game. It's more important than 3 points. So that's when maximum media coverage is going to be on the match and the club. That's when most people are going to be at the game as well, just going to watch it. So there's higher chance of people attending. And obviously, we need all the help we can get at this point. We can't afford to go against the previous very successful Super League protest, which was before the game and delayed the game. And listen, if that's what we have to do peacefully, then that's what we'll get done. But at the end of the day as well, I've the reason why I've given it some time before I announce it properly with the posters and whatnot at 10 a.m. tomorrow, which is the target, is two reasons. One, I got to obviously get together all of the different influencers across the platforms that I know, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, put them all into one place and start working out how we're going to distribute this all tomorrow, organized as possible. And two, because I'm publicly coming out with that tweet today to let the supporters groups know that haven't got back to me that I am going to start this. And if you want, I'd love to work with you on it. I'd love to cooperate with you. I don't want to have two different protests. I don't want to have confusion. I want everybody to be very clear with what we're trying to do. But if you're not going to come out publicly and make it clear to the people, if we're protesting or not, then we're going to have to get our own one sorted. So hopefully before I have to make that announcement, they message me, they say, look, this is our plan as well. Let's align, let's get the time sorted so I can make some changes. And then we can just go with an even bigger and better one, because we all know that, you know, the Super League one was so successful. I know the groups that were behind that, and I know they know what they're doing. So I would love to have their help on this. And obviously they take the lead. No one's looking for, you know, personal glory. I'm not sticking my name up on it and saying, oh, I'm organized by this person. Couldn't give two shits. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night with all of these people that support me, either whether they do or they don't support me, tagging me on social media saying, please do something, please help us. We're in another country. There's nothing we can do. You guys are our, you know, last hope, really, because all the quotes are dropping. It looks like they're in a stronger position day by day. We know the Raine Group has maybe got a conflict of interest. I can't sit by and wait for somebody else to do something with the days ticking on, not knowing whether they're going to do it or not, because they haven't responded to me. So I'm hoping that they'll get in touch. Like I said, I've gone pretty public now. I've got things in the works, and like I said, by the end of tonight, I expect to have everybody that wants to be involved with some sort of influence and some sort of sizable account that can help me push it all in one space, so we can start organizing how we're going to release that information tomorrow. And all I can say is, you know, not even really fearing failure. You know, if the protest if the protest doesn't attract the numbers that we need it to attract, then that's that the fan base have to take that hit, and if they do get the ownership, then for the next 20, 30, 40 years, we're gonna have to watch, so I advise that when this does get announced, if you can make it, that you turn up, because you have the opportunity to make your voice heard and to change the course of what potentially could happen at this football club. And like I said, if you don't, you may regret it. This is, for me, I've seen people put up petitions, I've seen people do hashtags. I've been to the headquarters myself in London when I had a bit of time because I was nearby. Spoke to a few of the employees. There's no decision makers up there, so I don't think it's really going to be enough or do anything substantial. This is for me, this is probably the best way of getting the word out there and causing enough head grow and a little bit of a response from the people that are in charge to understand that, listen, we're not playing about. So we'll see.
No, definitely. And to those that are listening, if you could also, spread the message. We got to get as many people over at Stamford Bridge as possible. As far as me being over here in the United States, I'm going to do what I can to get as many fans' voices heard, not just here on this platform. I'm going to see what I can do outside, see if we can draw any kind of media attention down at the football factory. It wouldn't be the first time, but if we can do that and make some noise, that will be a massive thing. I believe, because the hashtags and all that, it made noise on social media, but in the bigger scale of things, it wasn't enough. It's time to man up and start putting bodies on the street and really start being vocal. But I just want to get back to Paul Canoville, because there are more quotes that have come out here, and to be honest, it shows Paul really giving his honest opinion on what he thinks on the entire thing. So it says here, Paul gave Tom Ricketts a severe grilling, and Tom Ricketts apologized to him for those comments that had been made by his relatives. Trousdale told the press association, Paul was very forthright. He told them the reason he tweeted and supported the No to Ricketts campaign was because of what he'd read and seen on social media that Tom Ricketts' family had been responsible for. Tom Ricketts said he wouldn't try to hide from those comments, that they weren't his values, that they were abhorrent, and he apologized. He explained that they are very, very keen to take the football club on, and they know they must win round the fans and also win round Paul. Here's the thing. Since then, actually, I've got to put this one out as well. Since then, Canoville has tweeted that he is not backing any one bid, which is the right thing to do. But I think that he's made it clear enough that he's not backing them. In my opinion, from what I've seen of him, he's made it clear enough where he stands. But Trousdale added, ultimately, Paul wasn't swayed in any which way. He made it clear he supported the views of the Chelsea Supporters Trust, and he'd continue to do so. But he did feel Tom Ricketts should be given the opportunity now he's been shortlisted to put forward the best possible bid. Now, this is the thing. That there can be a bit confusing. But when you look at the position of the Chelsea Supporters Trust, what I've seen on the socials is that they're not keen on the Ricketts taking over.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think the rest of it is really towing the political line, so we can't show any bias towards any kind of consortiums, because he is involved in this, whether we like it or not, because his opinion has been sought about this. So he can't really put out any favoritism at the same time. But I think he was very smart in putting out there that he supports the view of the CST.
Yeah. I think from and for me, it's literally just it's really just rumors. And I've only just hearing this recently after putting out the statement, which is why I put it out, because I know that people are going to now probably get in touch out of panic if they are doing something, because they obviously don't want confusion, which is good. But from what I hear, it sounds like as if, these groups, how could they possibly stand with this, But I always questioned and hoped that they wouldn't play politics. Obviously, I know they have to meet these people and they have to have these discussions. They're adults. They have to do that. I know people don't want to hear it, but that's what has to take place. If there is someone interested, you have to have the conversation with them. And also voice what the fans are thinking. If you don't have the conversation, how can you get it across that we're angry and that we're not going to stand for this? And I'm hoping that that's been part of the conversation. As part of the report, Paul was angry with them and did voice, a lot of major issues and concerns, which is good.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be done. Now, obviously, from reports, it hasn't stopped them from being involved in the process by Raine Group. It hasn't stopped them from wanting to purchase the club overall. I seen some sort of statement saying that or some sort of inkling that they feel like they have a chance, or they feel like they think they can win the fans over, win Paul over. And that's why it's down to us to make it very clear that they can't.
They can't.
But from what I hear, it sounds like, yeah, the supporters groups are obviously on our side on this. But at the same time, and this is where the conflict of interest comes in, and this is where the politics comes in, is that if they were to take over, they also do need to be able to cooperate and work with them if they were to win, because of course they need to and want to have a say, or that golden share, or they want to be involved with the club in terms of decision making around certain things for fans, and just exactly all the good work that has been done already with the supporters group and the pitch owners. They need to still be involved in those processes regardless of who the owner is. So that is why they can only probably, maybe, and I'm just speculating, go so far in terms of in terms of putting out their dismay and their their putting out their points of view and their opinions on the situation, because they know that if they were to win and it was to go against them, regardless of their opinion, they would have to work with them after, whereas we as fans won't have to work with them. Do you see what I'm saying? So only we are the shed, who are like obviously the supporters group for that, the shed and for the ground. Maybe they potentially can have a little bit more wiggle room, and they are able to exercise that opinion so publicly, but obviously the other two I don't think can or will. So for that reason, that's just how it goes, isn't it? And I don't blame them for that. I just say, okay, we have to take it upon ourselves to do something about it. And I'm sure they'll be rooting for us, whether they can do it publicly or not. I'm sure they'll be rooting for us to get this decision overturned, or not even decision overturned, but to get them out of the running and to allow somebody else to own the club.
Let's just for a second step away from the bigotry and the racial controversies around the family, and let's talk about the actual relationship between the Raine family. I'm sorry, the Raine Group and the Ricketts family, because everybody's been saying, oh, they're affiliated, but I think it's also important that we give the people context as to how much affiliation that they've had and in what time space too. So in November, and this is from the same article, in November 2020, the Ricketts family and Raine formed a special purpose acquisition company, a SPAC, seeking $325 million for a technology, media, telecom acquisition, including possible acquisition of a sports team, a sports gambling firm, or a digital media and podcasting opportunity. So if we're looking for the type of relationship that they have, there you can see they've worked on previous ventures together. They've done business together. They've got existing working relationships there together. Now, whether there's a conscious bias or not, there is one there, because Raine have experience in working with the Ricketts family. They've done successful business. They still remain in good contact now. So whether they see it or not, from the outside looking in, there's a massive bias there, and there's a serious problem. And that's also been proven in the fact of what we referred to earlier, the meeting that was called between the Ricketts and the executives, where it was stated that they weren't allowed to do so. But that's the recent relationship. That's the info that we have recently on the Ricketts family and the Raine Group. But the other rival bids, there's a little bit here that says about the rival bids as well. So it talks a bit here about Todd Bowley, former British chairman Sir Martin Broughton, and Boston Celtics co-owner Stephen Pagula have not faced the same opposition from fans groups. So the type of opposition that we're talking about is the resistance to the controversies that the Ricketts family have. And those three haven't battered an eyelid in terms of that. So that hasn't, if there is any skeletons in the closet, they haven't reared their ugly heads yet anyway. So it just goes back to your point in saying, like, Why even bother having to risk all this controversy, upsetting the fans when you've got Todd Bowley, who seems to have a plan and who actually has an ethical, quote unquote, sporting history with the fans over with the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Because he went there, he connected with the fans, he put his money where his mouth was, he delivered the success. You know, the fans speak very much highly of him. He also tried to buy the club a few years back. He's come back in for another bid. He's spoken the same way as he's spoken about the Dodgers. Now, again, you can't always take people by face value. You can only go by their actions, and the actions that I can go by is how he's treated his existing sports club.
Yeah.
So why they would even fathom having these people in the mix with these three, and that's only one that I've spoken about. I'm not too informed about the other two, but why even go through this hassle? And that's where the concern is, Matisse. I think from myself and from you and from the people in the chat that are watching. So it's scary times, Matisse, when you see information like that, because at the bottom line is that money is king.
Yeah, money is king, bro.
Yeah.
And you know, it's either it's Ken Griffin, you know, backing, or it's the Ricketts, and from a sporting perspective, we shouldn't even really want them. You know, if you were to even take away all of the extra stuff around it, which is the critical, most important stuff, which for me doesn't make them fit and proper to be owner of Chelsea Football Club. They're not going to pass the fit and proper test, if that test even
Exists.
is legit, exists, or is it, if there any sort of code of conduct even exists anymore. From a sporting perspective, they can't become the owner. It's very clear from the way that they run their other sports teams. And look, there's maybe the 1%, 2%, 3% chance that we're different, right? But everybody says that, right?
Exactly.
we're different. I'm different. We're gonna help. I'm gonna change you. No. I'd rather not take the risk. Okay, I'd rather not take the risk. This is Chelsea Football Club. This is not a test. This is Chelsea. So from everything that we have to go off, they're looking to add to their portfolio, and they're looking to, you know, they're looking to run this as maybe a business and not look to make us successful, not look to keep us at the top of the football pyramid, and not look to. I mean, it seems like a lot of the reason why they're such front runners is also because of the fact that they're so hell bent on, you know, developing the stadium, etc. But Todd Bowley is also trying to expand or renovate the stadium. So that is a key part for any owner. Any owner that comes in here is going to want to expand the stadium. It would be counterproductive to not look into trying to expand the stadium. The stadium is
key. It's key. It's key. We're losing so much revenue by not doing it per year. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous how much money Chelsea could earn if they were to expand their capacity by 15, 20,000 people. And we would easily sell out. We have more than enough people to in terms of the size of this fan base, to sell that out. The only issue is, of course, the location. You know, whether it comes down to the TFL situation on one side, when it comes down to the council and the property on the other side. There's so many plans, there's so many ideas. Of course, we want to stay in the same location. That's obviously very important for Chelsea pitch owners as well. You know, that's huge. If we have to stay in the same location, really, if we can. Otherwise, things are going to be, you know, even more dramatic in that sense. Whether they have to dig down, whether they have to get rid of the hotel, all of these little things that we're talking about to expand certain stands, that maybe one at a time, we expand the stand one at a time, whatever it is, we have to understand and remember that we can't really be swayed. Or I'm surprised Raine Group are even potentially being swayed, which is why it's clearly a conflict of interest. By stadium expansion, when every new owner is going to want to expand the stadium to make more money.
It's part of the agreement to buy Chelsea. There's no avoiding it. If you can't show that you can tangibly expand the stadium or do what needs to be done, you're not going to be considered. So that was part of it. But do you know what I feel is also important as well, Matisse? It's all well and good us protesting what we don't want, but I also feel it's important that we make our voices heard for who we do want as well. Because if we push that message, surely, and they hear that, that might be part of the decision, because surely the fans have to be part of this. The fans have to be heard. And why I say this is because when you look down, as you know, listen, I had the whole Saudi agenda thing going on, and I'm not ashamed to say I kind of was blindsided by the whole stereotype of all this money was going to come in. But then it was later revealed that they were planning to take out loans against the club to fund everything happening, which is why they weren't considered. How true that is, I don't know. But if that's the case, I'm happy that we put that one on the back burner and gave that one a miss. Do you know what I mean? But right now, I'm in favor of Todd Bowley. This is one of several reasons. A very good comment. Big up yourself, Crixie CFC. Dodgers have one of the best youth setups in baseball. They develop and use a lot of their own products. Also, the Dodgers are on the leading edge of sports science. So, look, aside from even just all the World Series and the competitions that they've won since this guy has really been involved in the club, they've just been absolutely flying. And out of the bidders, that consortium seems to be the one that have come out and spoken professionally and really like let the fans know their intentions, and they also haven't overdone it, which is what I feel is very important. Because when people talk too much, for me, that's a bit of a red flag. It's a case in point, Nick Candy. The rate he was coming out, the rate he was talking, I knew that nothing was going to come from it. So I like the way the Bowley V's consortium have also handled things. So it will just be interesting to see what happens there. But I do think it's important that we make our voices heard to let them know who we want at the club.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Nick Candy was a prime candidate of that. Someone that just, for me, I got bad vibes from him immediately. Just overly talking too much. Catalina coming out on Twitter, making a Twitter account specifically for that purpose. A lot of PR. And for me, I just got a gut feeling that their intentions for me weren't really pure. It felt very political in terms of their strategy. It felt like a presidential candidate race type thing. And obviously he is involved with politics and a donor for obviously the Tories, etc. So he knows exactly how to sway and to manipulate potentially a large group of people. And he tried his best. He was bringing up all of these emotive things in terms of Lampard's goal against Stoke and up the Chelsea and we hate Tottenham, etc. But no actual real outlining of planning. And it's kind of an insult to us and the rest of the fan base's intelligence that he thinks that he can even bring up such emotive language with no planning, no clear strategy, no clear points as to what he's actually going to do with the ownership if he's given. It's very insulting to our intelligence. But listen, it didn't work. We luckily dodged the bullet on that one. No pun intended there. But listen, we're not out of the woods yet. We still have a candidate. Bro, whether I got COVID or not, bro, I'm still busting jokes.
Hey, bro.
We still have to continue to voice our opinion, because say if the three candidates or four, however many it is, right, left in the running, were all fit and proper. Yes, they all had their really deep dirt to dig from association and things like that, but nothing that we could really go absolutely ballistic over. Because as I kept saying on all these platforms for the last 2-3 weeks now, all billionaires, if you were to dig deep enough by association, by a minimum, they're going to have dirty hands, even by association, whether it's not themselves. At this point, it's like, taking piss instead of shit. That they got dirty hands, most of them, 99% of them. If it's by association, or you prefer that than if it's actually the individual itself, right? So it's literally just picking the lesser of two evils. But yeah, we're not out of the woods. If all three of the candidates left were fit and proper and they were, all had similar ideas or different ideas of how to take us forward, but they were all ambitious to an extent and had the money up, then, there would be no need for a protest, and we would just let fans have their opinions on the situation, and we would just, see how it comes out in terms of the due course. But unfortunately, we can't do that with this situation at all.
No, 100%. Chris Yako, big up yourself, made an interesting statement. Me personally, I'm not clued up enough to know how this could affect things. I saw you made a comment as well. Okay, you've explained it at the bottom there. But please, brother, talk about how Bowley's consortium is being backed by Clear Lake Capital, a private equity, and how bad that could be for Chelsea. Then followed up, this private equity would only want to return an investment, nothing else. They do not give a S about sports. Well, here's the thing, though, Chris, is that whatever investor that comes in or consortium, whatever, is going to want returns. It's not going to be run the way Roman Abramovich ran the club. That we're never going to get an owner as good as that. In this current climate, is a very utopian way of thinking. Anybody coming in to buy the club, they're going to want returns. They're going to want to see it. But again, why I'm not overly concerned about it is that regardless of, you know, the sanctions and what's going on around the club in terms of the legal side of things, when you actually look at the club's infrastructure, you know, Cobham, the first team, the position that we're in, you know, we have a decent infrastructure there to really pick up and kick on and to be more successful than we currently are. And safeguards have been put in place according to the reports that we've been reading, that certain criterias must be met before you can be accepted onto the Chelsea shortlist, which is a bit ironic. We're talking about, you know, the Ricketts family and the controversies.
Yeah,
But when you do put that aside and you look at the capital, which is what matters to these people, they have it. Whether we agree with their principles or not, we also have to understand in the back of our mind that money is king and people will be swayed by money.
yeah,
But this is the point of why we're making our voices heard, in the hope that we can make enough noise to persuade them not to go down that route. But with the CST not being too happy, and obviously Paul Canoville pointing towards his support for the CST, for me, I'm more leaning towards them not getting the club, but I don't want to take that risk. You see
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Nobody wants to take that risk, you
yeah,
know. But
100%.
Matisse,
Mm,
I know you haven't been feeling too well, and we did agree to half an hour on camera, so I do want to honor that
it's all
for you,
good.
so you can get some rest. But, bruv, you've been very insightful, and listen, me, I'm gonna speak on my behalf, and I'm sure most people in the chat are gonna agree with me. Thank you very much for the effort that you're actually trying to put in, and hopefully we're
Mm,
going to see in the next couple of weeks in terms of really backing, not having this family in charge of the club. This
mm,
could really, this could be a very important part of Chelsea's history. We never know how this can go, but it's very important that we try.
yeah,
So Matisse, big up yourself. You're definitely a golden gem in this
thank
Chelsea
you.
community, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, let the people know what you've got coming up before you leave.
Yeah, next couple of days, man. Not even weeks. You know, if everything goes according to plan, these guys hopefully will be out of the running by the end of the weekend. That's the plan. You know, we don't want to drag this out any longer than it needs to be. But for me, no rest for the wicked. You know what I'm saying? I'm in contact with the designer. We Are the Shed have actually just messaged me, so big up to them. I'll be replying to that and
Mm-hmm.
organizing something there. I think we're starting to get somewhere. We're putting everybody together to make this the biggest and best protest we can, because I need all the help I can get. But in terms of content, well, London Club's Carnage will be premiering at 6 p.m. I recorded that earlier. Turkish is the special guest there. So we got Turkish, Toby, and Corey on that one, which I'm looking forward to that coming out. Great convo. A bit shorter than usual, obviously, because I'm trying not to make all the content too long for myself today. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's still a great show. Big Six is tonight at 9 p.m. as well. So yeah, I think that's it for me potentially. But yeah, there's more content coming. Obviously, subscribe if you haven't already. MAH. And right now, my main focus is obviously this. All You Can Eat Chelsea tomorrow will come out, and that will be for me where I outline everything that needs to be outlined for this protest. Because
Perfect.
by then, everything will be done and detailed.
Perfect.
So yeah, yeah.
Perfect. One thing I'm gonna ask the people them to do before you do leave
Mm,
is please share this video. I don't usually ask for certain videos to be shared. I just leave it for them to watch, leave it for you to watch. But this one, make sure you share it. If you know Chelsea fans or whatever, share this video and let the people know that we are planning to do something. Anybody support, anyone who's a Chelsea fan that cares about this club needs to see this video, needs to watch Matisse's channel and subscribe to his channel so you know what's going on in the future. But obviously, as well, make sure you subscribe if you are new. Smash up that like button as well. We are on the road to 10K. You get me? But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please make sure you do stay safe. No to the Ricketts family, and up